JJ the CPA here. So listen real quick. If you tune in like almost every day to the live, you don't need to watch this one. So all the CPAs and Robert and Gene and Jason and Dee Patel and Tony and Metal Bum, Clay, Fred, Kenda, Bruce, Julio, Tina. Hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out. Backyard Barbecue, Coach's Barbecue, anybody we've sent a shirt to or a t-shirt or koozies or sent us something, or we sent them a book or they bought a book. Okay, you get a free pass. You don't have to watch this one. And you can just go to part 2. So this is part 1 of part 2. You can just go to part 2. Don't need to watch this one. You'll see, because you're already going to know this one. You already will know this one. All right, appreciate you all. Get ready for part 1 of part 2 for those of you that need to see it. JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. So, how do we achieve guaranteed full forgiveness on PPP, right? Because that's a topic of discussion. You got the dollars in. How do you guarantee that it will be fully forgiven? Okay. Now, when we're done, I'm going to talk to you about the definition of full forgiveness, right? Because I think that's part of the thing we need to look at is full forgiveness, okay, of the PPP. So you've been given some dollars. You know what the parameters are. If you haven't, go check out my other video, okay? But let me break down a couple of things real quick for you. So we know that we only have 2 components that we have to deal with, okay? So really this ends up being a really simple math problem, okay? So we have 75% and a 25% factor to work with, okay? So the way that this works itself out, I've come up with a formula that it'll always achieve full forgiveness, okay? So I've been thinking about it and how does this work and all this kind of stuff. So the first thing to note here, though, is that on your 75%, right, that's payroll costs, okay? And this is where, okay, this is where we want to make sure, it says payroll costs, okay? It says payroll costs. This is where we want to be sure that we're really paying attention to that one, okay? Let's see if I turn that off. Yeah. 75% on the payroll costs, okay? Then on this 25, it's rent, utilities, okay, and interest. Okay, now only on the business loans, but then in the payroll costs, remember what that includes, right? Okay, so on the payroll costs, right, we have gross payroll. Okay, now on this, we're doing it, for the employers. That's what this would be based on. So we have gross payroll, we have the employer insurance and the retirement, okay? So we have the gross payroll, the employer insurance, retirement, and the SUDA. Okay, that's what makes up the 75%. Okay, so pretty good there. Then the next thing when you're looking at the math issue here, okay, so I got some lights there, you'll be able to see it, okay. The other part of this, okay, that's key, is that when you got the PPP, right, there were 2 numbers that you had, okay? There were 2 numbers that you were dealing with, okay? The one was the monthly, and the other was what we're calling the max loan, right? Okay, you're like, what is that? It says monthly, max loan, okay? So when we're dealing with, oh heck, let me just turn this off. When we're dealing with, come on. See, you don't mind all this because we're going through the secret formula to guaranteed forgiveness. Okay, it accomplished very little. But if we know, okay, on the employer, okay, let's just say that on the monthly, okay, we say that that is $10,000, okay? So we know that 2.5 is gonna lead to $25,000. Now, we talked about this in another video, but just in case, when you're talking about then the 75%, okay, that has to go on the payroll, I'm going to do a little math. Then you've got 25,000 times 0.75. So 18,750. Okay. Being good at math doesn't have anything to do with being a good CPA. So if we have this that's for the payroll cost, right? Which is that, which is these things right here. Then what that tells us is that then for those things, right, we're dealing with 5,000. What would be the number? Minus 25,000, 6,250. Okay. Now the one thing to note here is that if we take this and we just do half of it, right, which would be 9,375. I'll check myself. 18,750 times 0.5. So it's $9,375. Now I'm going to tell you why it's okay that you're not necessarily able to digest all these numbers here in a minute. Okay? It's kind of a reason that I'm doing it this way. So 9,375 would be the per month. But the key here is that our monthly at the time average was 10 grand times 2.5 is 25,000. So we have a margin of error, 9,375. But remember, it's all of these things. Okay? But what I'm hearing is, yeah, but JJ, I mean, but I got 2.5. You know, I got 2.5 the monthly. And the average for the last 12 months, how do I know that that's actually what I have? Okay? Because now I have this. So let's just go for grins, okay? That you're in a situation where here's going to be your payroll, okay, over the 8 weeks, okay? Let's say that some people have gone on unemployment, okay? You've been open. He's like, I'm not paying people to be on the couch, whatever, right? So you were saying it's 10,000. You're supposed to spend 9,375 to achieve forgiveness. But what happens if in month 1, okay, your payroll is $5,000. But then in month 2, okay, because you open back up, right? Let's just say that it's $7,000. Okay, now normally it's 10, okay, with a head count of 6 people. Okay, now the head count, okay, of those 6 people would be during the 8 weeks that you're spending that. Because the other thing you have to do is you have to take into account a head count from 1/1/20 to 2/29/20. Okay? And then you need a head count at 6/30/20, so that we'll get that here in a little bit, right, once we hit to it. Then we need a head count that is 2/15 to 6/30/19. You'll see how the math works out here in a second. And then you also need a head count that's 2/15, it's kind of weird, but to 4/27. Okay? And then you actually need to know it at 215 as well. Okay? So you do, so this is the 56 days, right? You got 56 days. Okay? So if you were to take the head count, 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 and the head count, okay, and then you have this head count. Normally it's 6. Let's just say in this month it's 4. Okay? And then you're at 5. Right? So then the average, right, you have to look at the pay period. Let's say that you had 1 person working in the first pay period and then 3 that equaled that 4. And then let's say it was 3, but then it went up to the 5, okay? So you've got 1 and you've got 3, and you've got 3 and then you have 5 for the payroll period. So this is the 56 days, right? So you're bringing that all together, okay? Bringing that all together. You got your 56 days, okay? There's 4 employees, you got 5 employees. And then on 215, let's say that you have 6 employees. Okay, and 120 to 229, let's just say for grins you had 7, somebody ended up leaving. Let's say on 630 you bring everybody back. Okay, so you had 6, you're going with 6. And then from 215 to 630, 19, you know, let's just say you had 8, right? You had 8. You had 8, 215 to 427. Okay, so you gotta remember there wasn't anything going on there. There is stuff going on here. You normally have 6. Okay, you got down to 1 and then you're at 3. So for this period, let's just say you have 2 people. Okay. Now, the other thing that you have to look at is you're comparing salaries here. Okay, so you're picking some periods here, and then you have your salaries here, and then you have 25%. Okay. Variance, okay, and that variance, okay, is compared to up in here, okay, that's in 1106, let's see, 2-3, okay, in 1106 it talks about this, you know, and then 1106, okay, it's actually D5, so it'd be D3, okay, on D5, you know, focuses in on here where we are when we're talking about June 30, okay? So we got that June 30. Now, when you're looking at the June 30, you're looking at head count, you're looking at the salary amounts, okay? But then what you have to look at here is, okay, you went to June 30, okay? Your payroll costs are required to be that, okay? Which, if you look, what's up, buddy? What's up? Your payroll cost is to be that, this 6,250 is to be your 25%, and then you have the 75%, and then you have 9,375, that's the 25%. You have the 1,875, which is for payroll, okay? Which then leaves over the 6,250 here, which then that is for here, and then the 9,375, if you compare it to the 10 grand, and then you compare it to the 75,000, okay? So when you're doing your calculations, okay, you do have 1106D 5, okay? And then it's 1106, okay, D2, okay? So you've got all this stuff going around. Now remember, on the payroll, it's per period, okay? So the thing is that if you're trying to achieve forgiveness, the calculation is simple. Okay, and then we're going to define forgiveness. You ready?